Hello friends, welcome to our third session on AdventHealth Global Missions Conference on COVID-19. In this session, we'll be focused on our service standard of Love Me. I hope you've enjoyed the first two sessions where we've talked about the steps that AdventHealth has taken to ensure the safety of our team members, our patients, as well as their families. We have also shared about the proactive measures that we have taken around staff training and nursing needs. A lot of the information that we've shared in those first two sessions has been around taking care of the needs of our patients. We also want to share how AdventHealth has been taking care of the needs of our team members in today's session. Unfortunately, this COVID-19 pandemic has taken a toll on our most valuable resources, our team members. Our team members give of themselves every day to take care of the needs of our patients. This pandemic has been going on longer than anyone expected, and it's hard to keep up this pace of activity for as long as it is without our teams being resilient. Today our topic is on the service standard of Love Me, and that really is about taking care of the whole person, nurturing the whole person. And we'll be covering that in greater detail throughout the presentation today. This session is based upon a topic that we share with our own team members here around this resiliency. And so we think that you will appreciate the materials and be able to utilize it in your activities at your institutions. At this time, I will turn the program over to our chaplain, Sydney Barclay, who will share a devotional message with us. After Chaplain Barclay speaks, Ellie Lang and Leah Domask from our Employee Wellness Program teams will share with us the rest of the program. I want to thank you for joining us today and wish God's blessing on you and your team. Please do not hesitate to send us any questions via email or WhatsApp throughout the program or after if there's any additional information that we can share with you. Thank you.
Hi, I am Sydney, one of the chaplains at AdventHealth Ultimate, and today it is going to be my joy to share with you. I'm going to be sharing with you today on one of our service standards, Love Me. I'll start with a story. A couple weeks ago, I had the opportunity of visiting with a patient who was recovering from an alcohol overdose. As I visited the room, the lights were dimmed. She was in bed with her blanket curled up to her chest. She was also wearing one of those makeshift outfits. The room was a little dim, so as I stepped in, I introduced myself. As I sat and listened to her story, I couldn't help but hear the pain and the losses that she's experienced over the years. I couldn't help but hear that there's a woman inside of her that was crying out for someone to treat her with uncommon compassion. I sat there, I spoke with her, I listened, I gave her the hope that I would want for myself. I did what I think I was called to do, which was to show her the love of Christ. On leaving the room, she said, "Thank you so much." With tears streaming down her face, she said, Thank you for coming and talking with me today." As I left that room, I felt fulfilled. I felt like I had given what God had called me to give, uncommon compassion by loving my patient. It was lunchtime. Hey, I went to the cafeteria to get myself something to eat, but it's COVID season. The choices are limited. Of course, I gravitated towards the French fries. I had my lunch. It was so good with ketchup. I was in a good space. As I drove home that evening, it came back to my mind that I had said a week ago that I wasn't going to have French fries anymore. And in that moment, my joy was pulled from beneath me. I started to think about how many times I had said that I would stop doing this or stop doing that, and I had failed. At that moment, I thought of the woman who I cared for that day, and I asked myself, why is it so easy for me to show love and compassion to this patient? But in this moment, this woman looking back at me, who is me, in that rearview mirror is asking, "Love me?" I paused, because in that moment, I didn't have uncommon compassion. It's so easy for us as healthcare providers to go out every day and to leave our all in those halls and on those units or wherever we have patients to care for. But the service standard rings true not only for patients, but for you and me. And I want to ask you, as you get dressed in the morning, as you get ready to go to your place of work, that face looking back at you in the mirror, it's asking, love me? As you drive to work and think about the many things you have on your plate, the many times you've probably failed yourself, the many times you didn't live up to expectations, that face looking back at you is asking, love me? The Bible says that God wants us to love Him with all our hearts and love our neighbors as ourselves. It's almost impossible for us to love our patients more than we love ourselves. Yet as healthcare professionals, we are trained to love and to give our all to that patient. I want to encourage you today to use that service standard, love me just for you. As you're sitting in your seat, I want to ask you the question. Yourself is probably asking the question, love me? Because only as you love you, can you love and give to that patient. So before you go out to give that love to the patient, I encourage you, give it to yourself. Love me? I hope your answer is yes. To you, loving you. I want to pray with you before I go. God, thank you for your love. Thank you for the uncommon compassion that you give to us and that we give so freely to others. I pray that you may give us the wisdom to give that uncommon compassion to ourselves. Love me? Yes. In your name, amen.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on our presentation on resilience and building strength to overcome the obstacles. Today, we are going to discuss the benefits of practicing resilience and how it can help you to overcome difficult situations. So as we go through this next hour, I'd like for you to think about what gets you out of bed every day. What motivates you to go to work? Are you able to bounce back and stay positive even after difficult situations? Resilience and your sense of purpose are very important in this industry. Today, we are going to define resilience and explain how it works in our lives and find ways to build more of it.
Hi everyone, my name is Ellie Lang and I am one of the Employee Health and Wellbeing Partners for our AdventHealth Central Florida Division. I hold a bachelor's in public health with an emphasis in human behavior and health promotion, as well as I'm a certified personal trainer. I'm very passionate about what I do, and particularly that came from struggling through my own personal health journey. And I was actually able to lose over 100 pounds. And so I have a very strong passion for motivating others to really achieve that same healthy lifestyle from a mind, body, spirit approach, as I've been able to see how transformative really taking ownership of your life is so impactful to you. I'm really happy to be here with you guys today presenting on one of my favorite topics of resiliency, as I'm finding it's even more relevant than ever right now. I hope from today's presentation you feel inspired and equipped to continue to build on your resiliency, as well as to ultimately make positive changes in your life that can help you better manage stress and overcome challenges more effectively.
Hi there. My name is Leah Domask, and I am currently a health educator for AdventHealth Central Florida Division. I have a bachelor's degree in kinesiology and recently graduated with a master's degree in business administration and human resources. Through my own personal journey of overcoming challenges, I continuously work to build my own resiliency skills and hope that through my own experiences, I can help others build strength and confidence to overcome their own. As Ellie mentioned, resilience is an extremely relevant topic, especially considering our current COVID-19 pandemic. Although these past few months have brought forth many changes outside of our control, I hope that this presentation leaves you feeling empowered and equipped with the necessary skills to conquer life's many obstacles.
Throughout our presentation today, both Leah and myself will be covering the following objectives. First, we're going to understand stress and really talk about what stress is and where our stress is coming from. We'll talk about our personal stressors, defining resilience and what that really means for each individual, and then exploring the impact of resilience, and last but not least, learning how to build on our resilience to become stronger individuals. So to kick it off today, let's go ahead and start with a little bit of trivia to see what you know about stress across the globe. So first question, True or false? Burnout is recognized as a chronic condition. And it is true. The World Health Organization states that stress has become a worldwide epidemic and has recognized that severe effects of stress actually lead to the chronic condition of burnout. All right, next question, true or false? 43% of workers across the globe suffer from stress in the workplace. True or false? And it is false. The Global Organization for Stress notes that 60% of workers across the globe suffer from stress in the workplace. So a lot more than 43%. True or false? Stress causes around 500,000 workers to miss work every day. And that is false. The American Institute of Stress states that the stress causes around 1 million workers to miss work every day. All right, last question. True or false? 65% of people report sleep issues caused by stress. And that is true. Harvard School of Public Health finds that 65% of people report sleep issues caused by stress. So lack of sleep, unfortunately, leads to an even greater increased risk of stress, leading to sleep disorders caused by stress such as narcolepsy, insomnia, snoring, and sleep apnea.
All right, so now that we've learned a little more about stress and burnout through our quick true or false game with Ellie, I'd like us to start off by thinking about our stress symptoms. In order to identify times of stress, we need to be able to first identify our stress symptoms. I want you to think about how you feel in times of stress. What symptoms do you experience? Let's take a look at how stress may affect us physically, mentally, and behaviorally. Listed are some examples in each area. Can you relate to any of these symptoms? Personally, when stressed, I experience muscle tension, headaches, poor concentration, and restlessness. Now I'd like for you to take 1 minute to define your own stress symptoms before moving on. Before discussing resilience, we must first understand the causes of stress in our life. In pinpointing these stressful areas, we can begin to think about reshaping our mindset and actions. We understand that the current pandemic may have increased our levels of stress over the past few months, and it's important to realize that you are not alone. Where do your current stressors lie? At home? At work? Are you worried about distant family members, your health, or your family's health? Currently, one of my biggest stressors is worrying about the health and safety of my family who lives across the country. Although I am able to call them over the phone, it's still difficult for me to not see them in person to make sure that they are okay. Take 1 minute to think about where your current stressors lie. Identifying where our high stress levels come from and how we react in those situations can help us to handle these situations more effectively. Let's take a look at some of the more common high stress areas. The first is work-life balance, which includes not having time for yourself. Maybe you are always taking care of others, whether it be your family, friends, coworkers, or patients, and not taking the time to relax and enjoy your favorite hobbies. The next is multitasking, which can lead to stress because of time restraints, not being present in our relationships, and becoming unfocused due to our efforts of trying to balance multiple things at once. Or it could be our environment. An uncomfortable work environment or a toxic home environment can lead to increased stress. In considering our current situation, the unknown environment during current COVID-19 pandemic can also lead to an increase in stress within our lives. Lastly, moral dilemmas, which is stress induced by trying to figure out the right course of action. Especially during our current COVID-19 pandemic, some of you may be experiencing this as we begin to open up our communities and making the decision to wear a mask or not, to be in close proximity or physical contact with others, going out in public to restaurants or social events, and constantly worrying about what is best for your family and others. These stressors can sometimes take over our day-to-day lives. So how do we begin to overcome these situations and regain our sense of purpose? We can begin to regain our sense of purpose and strength by building resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back after a difficult situation. It is not a trait we are born with, but rather a skill that we can learn through practiced behaviors and actions. Resiliency takes away the what went wrong mindset and instead asks us to consider what went right. The HeartMath Institute created 4 domains of resilience, which relate to the mind, body, and spirit connection. Resilience, as defined by the Institute, is the capacity to prepare for, recover from, and adapt in the face of stress, adversity, trauma, or challenge in relation to the 4 domains. Physical resilience is defined as a person's physical flexibility, endurance, and strength in difficult situations. Emotional resilience is a person's ability to self-regulate, have a positive outlook, and maintain supportive relationships. Mental resilience involves the ability to maintain focus and attention and also see multiple points of view. Lastly, spiritual resilience is associated with being able to commit to core values, intuition, and tolerance of others' views and beliefs. Now, thinking about these domains, how do we feel physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually when we are stressed? And how does this differ when we feel confident or more resilient in handling a situation?
Essentially, to gain more confidence and build resilience for those difficult situations and high stress moments, we're going to take a look at the American Psychological Association's 10 steps for building on resilience. So let's take a look at these 10 steps. Which of these steps is most important to you? For me personally, it's to nurture myself. If I'm not first taking care of myself, I have a really hard time taking care of those that are around me. Now, I will say it's a lot easier to take care of those around me rather than sometimes I neglect my own self. But for me to be, stronger and more confident and more resilient, that's what I need. So keeping in mind those 4 domains, we're going to dive in deeper into boosting your self-esteem, strengthening your social network, being optimistic, embracing change, establishing goals, my favorite, nurturing yourself, and last but not least, defining your purpose.
As Ellie mentioned, the first step that we will be focusing on is boosting our self-esteem. But before we dive deeper into how we can work to boost our own self-esteem, we are going to do a reflective activity. I'd like for you to take 1 minute to write down 3 positive things about yourself, starting now. How often do we remind ourselves how great we are? Not often enough. We tend to see the negatives, the things that we don't like. Focusing on our positive traits can help us to reshape our mindsets when it comes to us as a person. Understand your worth, your unique talents, and think positively about you. We cannot work to fill other people's buckets if our own bucket is empty.
As Leah just talked about, it's so important that we have a positive relationship with ourselves, but it's also important that we strengthen our social network and have positive relationship with those around us as well. So I want you to take a moment and just think about the relationships in your life. Who can you talk to and know that they're going to help you relieve stress? Who is there to help you when you really, really need it? Research has shown that having quality relationships can help us reduce dangerous levels of stress. And we know that having people in our life to talk to really does help us get through difficult times. In building close relationships, we can begin to let others in on our lives and allow them to help and provide us with support. I know sometimes for me personally, whenever I'm going through a hard time, I tend to kind of isolate myself. Although I need to always be intentional and remind myself that the people that I have in my life that are, my go-to people want to be there for me and help me through those difficult times, and we shouldn't have to go through them alone. In fact, research from the University of Utah has shown that having supportive relationships can lower our levels of stress and pain, as well as blood pressure levels are decreased and individuals experience a greater sense of well-being and have proven to live longer when engaged in those positive relationships. So not only in our personal lives are our relationships so important, but they're also really important in the workplace as well. So thinking about those positive relationships, it's been proven to have an impact on improving your overall job satisfaction. It increases employee retention and promotes creative thinking and motivation. So building those relationships with your coworkers is not only important because we're around them so often, but they also are kind of in the trenches with us, They know what we're going through, and so it's important to have those relationships, not only in work, but get to know them outside as well. So a great way to connect with your coworkers could be to talk about non-work related topics. Maybe ask them to share some positives in their life, or start your work meetings off by talking about what's good and have a discussion about what's going good in your life right now outside of work. That way you're connecting with them on a personal level as well. So now what I want you to do is I want you to take a moment and think about one person that you're just so grateful for to have in your life and why. I encourage you to either text them, write them a note, or call them after this discussion and let them know how grateful you are to have them in your life and why they're so important to you. I guarantee it's not only going to make them feel better, but it's going to make you feel better too.
Be optimistic and choose to see life in a positive light, even in difficult situations. Try to see things in a different perspective, focusing on the more beautiful things in life. Rather than getting stuck in a problem, consider the solution and what you've already done well in the situation. Be optimistic and embracing change as well. View change as an opportunity to grow and learn. Although our current situation can easily be viewed as a negative, how can we shape our mindset in thinking about how we've grown personally and as a whole from this situation? What can we be grateful for in difficult situations? Practicing gratitude can also help us to reshape our mindset and remember all the great things we have in our lives. Studies from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services have shown that regularly practicing gratitude helps to increase emotional well-being, allowing you to better cope with stress. Now let's take a look at a video from Kid President to help us remember some of the things we might be grateful for.
There's a lot that the kids need to know. A letter to a person on their first day here. Today, over 360,000 babies will be born, and you are one of them. Welcome, this is the world. It's a pretty cool place. There's lots to see, smell, there's corn dogs. I'm getting ahead of myself. There's just so much to do. Singing, dancing, and laughing. Laughing's the best. It's especially great when you laugh and milk comes out of your nose. But only if you just have milk. Otherwise, it's just gross. Some days gross things will happen. Some days awesome things will happen. Some days you'll get ice cream. Some days you won't. Some days your kite will fly high. Some days it gets stuck in the tree. It's just how it is here. There's plenty of reasons to dance. You just gotta look for them. Don't worry though, you won't be doing this alone. You're gonna meet lots of people here. Some of them will be really nice and some won't be. It's not that they can't be, it's just, maybe they're just having a bad day. Being a person is hard sometimes. You should give people high fives just for getting out of bed. Oh, high fives, I forgot to explain that. How do I explain this? It's kind of, high fives are like hitting someone who is your friend. That's really bad. Just treat everybody like it's their birthday, even if they don't deserve it. Because we all mess up sometimes. The biggest mess up, not forgiving each other's mess ups. Maybe you'll be a teacher. Maybe you'll be president. Maybe you'll cure every disease ever. You might even see the Grand Canyon, swim in the ocean. Oh, this is so much. It's a lot. Try this, take a breath. Isn't that amazing? It's called breathing. You're gonna do it a lot, but nobody knows exactly how much. So enjoy it. Pay attention. Take brain pictures. Because amazing things will happen every day. You're gonna do so much, but it's not about what you do. It's about who you are. And you're awesome. You're made that way. You're made from love, to be loved, to spread love. And love is always louder, no matter what. Even if hate has a bullhorn, love is louder. So let your life be loud. Let's shout to the world. Things can be better. It's okay about all the mess ups. Corn dogs rule. Sorry, I'm just keep bringing that up. I don't think I told you this yet. We're really glad you're here. We don't say that enough to each other here because, well, life gets busy. You're gonna be important and you're gonna do a lot and you're gonna smell great, but don't get too busy. Remember to let everybody know you're glad they're here. You don't have to remember all this right now. You're gonna need a pep talk sometimes, and that's okay. For now, remember this. You're awake, you're awesome, live like it.
Isn't he just the best? As we mentioned, practicing gratitude is a great way to reshape our mindset and outlook by reminding us of all the great things we have in our life. Like Kid President mentioned, even practicing gratitude for the small things in life can have a positive impact on the way we view the world around us. Before moving on to our next step of embracing change, take 1 minute to write down all of the things you are grateful for today.
So embracing change, right? Life is ever changing, especially in these current times. The only constant in life is change itself. So it's important that we learn to shift our focus on the things that we can actually control rather than focusing on the things you can't. One of the things that I found to be so helpful is to define a specific worry space. Now, there is a place or a certain way to get out our worries. And a lot of times we think of worry as bad, but it's not. Those are things in our life, we really care about, but they do cause us that stress. So consider changes in your life and think through next steps to eliminate that stress, such as finding a calm and relaxing space, such as a bench outside or a comfortable chair in your home. I know for me personally, I have a rocking chair in my room, and that is my go-to space. But this way, it allows you to embrace your worry, think about your stressors, and get them out. I like to journal, get them out on a piece of paper, get them out from, being bottled up in your head, and then leave your worries in that worry spot rather than taking them with you all day throughout your day. What I want you to do now is I'm going to give you about a minute or so. I want you to make a list of 2 things. The first thing is, what are things that you cannot control right now, but they're causing you worry? The second thing is I want you to make a list of all the things that you do have control over, that you are in the driver's seat, you can make those changes, because essentially the best thing is embracing change is an opportunity to learn and grow. But by doing so, we have to focus on the things that we can actually control, such as, for example, our attitude or the foods we choose to eat and then essentially that's how they're going to make us feel, or if we choose to move our body or not. Those are just some examples, but I want you to make those 2 lists before we move on to the next slide.
It is important that we find the time to nurture ourselves in order to feel stronger and more confident in overcoming challenges. Create you time. Find the time to unwind. Taking time for you is so important. Our jobs, family, and friends may require us to give a lot to others, but think about the time you give to yourself. Taking a moment to reflect on yourself and your thoughts can help you to get through some of the more difficult moments. Studies have shown that those who participate in a rest day and take time for themselves actually live longer than those who do not, due to lower levels of stress and an increased sense of well-being. Be intentional about scheduling time for you and making time for yourself a priority. Get out and get active. Find something that you enjoy, whether it be running, Zumba, or weightlifting. Exercise has so many health benefits, such as relieving stress and boosting endorphins. It is recommended that we get 150 minutes of moderate activity each week. This means 30 minutes 5 times a week. However, you can break that up into 30 minutes into 10-minute activity breaks throughout your day, whether that be parking further away, taking the stairs, going for a walk during lunch, or finding someone to hold you accountable. Getting a good night's sleep is also important. Recommended 7 to 8 hours a night, or 9 hours if you have a demanding job. Think about how you feel when you are tired. Sluggish, not focused, short-tempered. Not getting the recommended amount of sleep at night can lead to increased levels of stress and depression. Plan for sleep to get you through your day refreshed and energized by setting a bedtime routine, removing light from the bedroom, turning off distractions, or doing something calming a half hour before you go to bed. Nourish your body like you would a premium car. What kind of fuel is going to give you the best results? Think about how you feel when you eat highly processed, unhealthy foods. Do you feel you have the energy to overcome obstacles, or does it leave you feeling tired and unfocused? What about when you eat whole foods that nourish our bodies? Are we more able to take on challenges after eating more nutrient-dense foods? Feed your body with the nutrients it needs to maximize energy and live our longest, fullest lives.
Establishing and attaining goals can provide an increased sense of accomplishment and motivation in life. Setting goals also serves as a constant why in life, reminding you of why you started in the first place and why it's so important that you overcome these challenges. The following steps are going to help you be able to achieve your goals and help you attain them, even when faced with setbacks and challenges. Now, the biggest thing, most importantly, is to consider your goals in 4 different aspects: home, work, social, and hobbies. So think about what goals do you want to achieve in each of these areas. Write down your goal on a piece of paper and post it somewhere where it's a constant reminder of what you want to achieve. Share your goals with others to be held accountable. And when obstacles appear, you'll find that when you have that support from those around you, you're going to want to continue. Those relationships, again, will hold you accountable to help you feel stronger in difficult situations and allow you to be able to move forward. Secondly, set attainable goals. Be sure to set attainable goals to avoid becoming overwhelmed or defeated by your goals when they're initially too large. So understand that big picture. Where do you want to see yourself, in the future, in the grand scheme of things, but then break that down into smaller, more achievable steps that allow you to conquer them. This way you will continue to be motivated because you'll continue to reach those small goals. Apply this in your life when you're faced with challenges as well. So take a step back from the larger issue at hand and think, how can you begin to break this problem down into smaller, more manageable parts? Last but not least, overcoming setbacks. Let's face it, if you set a goal for yourself, there's going to be times when you mess up, and that's okay. What I like to call that is the human experience. However, don't let these challenges force you backwards on your trek, right? If you do mess up, it's okay, acknowledge it, but know you can jump right back on. So look at each challenge as an opportunity to learn, become stronger, prepare you for similar challenges that might come back up in the future. But keep in mind that you don't need to conquer these challenges head on or alone. Take the appropriate steps and, oh my goodness, most importantly, be patient with yourself and give yourself grace to avoid overwhelming yourself, and then really reach out to those around you for that added support.
In helping to establish your goals and understand your why, defining your purpose is an important factor when it comes to our overall success. Defining your purpose brings meaning to your life and has proven to create a positive impact on our physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. Let's take a moment to think about our life's purpose. Why do you wake up every day? Are you clear on what your purpose looks like? To help in defining your purpose, reflect upon the following questions. How do you define success in your life? Who do you want to be? Who and what are most important to you? What are your deepest values? What legacy do you want to leave behind? And how do you want people to describe you? These questions can serve as a reminder for all the good things we have in life, and it can help us to get through hard times. Take 2 minutes to reflect on these questions before moving on. Before ending today, we'll ask you to write down 2 or 3 action steps that will get you started on becoming more resilient. What will you start doing, continue doing, or stop doing that will help you to achieve more confidence and strength when overcoming obstacles? Take 2 minutes to write down your thoughts. also note this additional resource from checkpointorg.com. This website offers a broad spectrum of mental health resources for areas around the globe. Visit this website to view the mental health resources provided within your country. We would like to say thank you for your time today and hope that you have taken away the action steps needed to help you in becoming more resilient.